Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. Heading into Week 17 in the NFL, we have the playoff picture coming into focus, but we also have the 2024 draft order coming into focus as well. You're taking a look at Ryan Wilson's latest mock draft, the first round picks 1 through 10. As of right now, he has Caleb Williams going first overall to Chicago. But with the Patriots beating the Broncos, they had the number 2 pick that drops to 4. But in Ryan's latest mock, he has him doing a mock trade with the Cardinals, trading up to get Drake May for their quarterback. And then the Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr., adding another weapon there on offense for Kyler Murray. Let's get into the mock draft, shall we? We have our NFL draft experts, Ryan Wilson and Rick Spielman, to break down this latest mock. Gentlemen, as it stands, the Patriots currently have that number 4 overall pick. But, Ryan, we just saw your mock there. You have them trading up to number 2 in a mock trade with the Cardinals to get Drake May. Ryan.
Happy holidays, Jacqueline and Mr. Spielman. It's good to see you guys again. I will say this. It feels like the closer we get to January and then, of course, to the actual draft, there's going to be a congregation of quarterbacks at the top of this draft class as teams clamor to try to get them. And there are going to be a ton of teams, up to 12 perhaps, among the top 18 non-playoff teams that are in the hunt for a quarterback. So you mentioned that the huge win for the Patriots. Happy Christmas there. Now you drop to number 4, but you have to get a quarterback in this class. Rick and I talk about that all the time on the podcast. The Patriots cannot come out of this draft without a quarterback, and whether it's Caleb May or Drake May, Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jayden Daniels, they have to make sure they land a quarterback. And if, for example, in this mock draft, Drake May is their guy, they very well may have to trade up, and it allows Arizona at number 2, who feel like they're going to stick with Kyler Murray, to move down, still stay in Marvin Harrison Jr. range, pull that off, and accumulate some picks. But again, Jacqueline, this is going to be a conversation we're going to have a lot over the next 119 days, Rick, until the actual NFL draft. But I think it's, I don't want to say 100%, but it feels like 99.9% chance that the Patriots are going to have to get a quarterback.
Ryan, congratulations on your Christmas gift, because I'm wearing a Christmas gift as well. That orange sweater looks very good on TV, but I have a ton of Island shirts coming when we start our podcast, especially when we get into the serious part of the draft. I agree with you 100%. There's no way that New England could not come out of this draft without a quarterback. We saw Mac Jones. He's failed. Bailey Zappi has had some success as of late, but I think he is more of a backup than just say, hey, we're going to build our franchise around Bailey Zappi. So when they're in this striking distance, I think they do have to get aggressive. They have to get another franchise quarterback. Without Tom Brady there, they haven't had as much success. So I see them going after either Caleb Williams or Drake May, both of which I think can help change that franchise around.
Wow, I think it must be the Christmas spirit or something, but something about the Patriots needing a quarterback. It has Rick and Ryan agreeing on something in the very first topic of this entire segment. But let's see if we can keep that theme going. We're going to talk about just in your mock, Ryan, you have the first 3 picks. Those are all quarterbacks. And you have the Commanders taking Jayden Daniels with that number 3 overall pick. Is this the highest that you've placed him in any of your mock drafts before?
Right, so he's been typically, and just so we're clear, the last mock draft I did for the website, Jacqueline, was on December 4th, but I do a Producer Jack weekly HQ exclusive mock draft. But typically I've had Jayden Daniels going around the 10-ish range, maybe a few spots higher, never this high. And the last mock draft that came out on the site on December 4th, I had the Commanders taking Jayden Daniels probably around 7 or 8, and Washington fans were as close to irate as they could have been because they were all in on Sam Howell, and it felt like that maybe Sam Howell was going to have the job as the year 2 quarterback going forward. There's probably going to be a new coaching staff. They have a new owner. Things have gone sideways for Sam Howell the last 2 weeks. He's been benched twice in 2 weeks. In terms of all the statistical categories that we follow in measuring quarterbacks, he ranked last over those last 2 weeks. Jacoby Brissett came in as a veteran, played much better. So we might be at the point in the conversation where the new coaching staff and perhaps new front office, should we go down that road, along with a new owner, want a new quarterback. And Jayden Daniels, and Rick, I think you might agree with this, no player that's going to be draft eligible has done more for his draft stock over the last 4 or 5 months than Jayden Daniels. You think that sounds about right?
Yes, and Jacqueline, I'm going to keep the love in the air going because I'm actually starting to like what Ryan did a month ago, even though Sam Howell was playing a lot better, and then all of a sudden these last month he has really went down the hill from there. He's throwing pick sixes. He doesn't look like he's functioning in this offense. When Jacoby Brissett came in, it looks like they were a lot more functional on the offensive side of the ball. So there is a lot of questions to me on if Sam Howell's the future quarterback of the Washington Commanders. So I don't know. This is getting rich, but it is the holiday season. So let's celebrate Ryan's mock and giving him Jayden Daniels, but there's plenty of time to correct this before April.
Yeah, it's got to be like Rick is just feeling good. He's in the Christmas spirit because we're 2 for 2. And Rick just said he's going to give Ryan some love. Like, this is unfamiliar territory for me, at least, when I'm doing these mock draft segments with you guys. But we'll try to keep the love going. We've known that the Giants O-line needs some love. They need some help. We've known that for a long time. And, Ryan, you have the Giants taking their Penn State star, Olu Fashanu. And is he a guy, no matter where he goes, is he someone that you think is going to come in and be a difference maker day one?
Jacqueline, I need a minute because I'm trying to fight back these tears of Rick being so incredibly nice. It's a Christmas miracle. So, right. So what are the Giants going to do? And, you know, Daniel Jones tore his ACL, so he'll come back at some point. He may not start the season in 2024, so we'll have to sort that out. Danny DeVito got benched for Tyrod Taylor, so we have to sort that out. And they might be in the quarterback conversation depending on high up the draft where they find themselves. If not, if all the quarterbacks are gone and 3 are gone in this mock draft that we're talking about here, I think offensive line feels like a layup. And you might say, well, they took Andrew Thomas a few years ago, then they circled back and got Evan Neal. After that, they keep drafting these offensive linemen, tackles in particular. You got to keep drafting them until you get it right, it feels like. Evan Neal has struggled. Fashanu has played primarily left tackle in college, so you have to figure out where he fits in along with Andrew Thomas. And there may be a conversation, Jacqueline, where you like Joe Alt out of Notre Dame a little better to slide right in as well. They're going to be pretty closely evaluated through the process, I feel like. So there's a lot of guys to choose from offensive tackle-wise if you're picking here. And I think for me, Fashanu is the best athlete. He can come in right away with that athleticism and play. Joe Alt might be the better technician, but either of those young men will help this Giants team from day one.
Well, I'm sorry, but the love continues with Ryan's mock draft. And it's hard for me to do this. I am counting to 10, but I will agree with him once again. Now, the reason why they would take Fashanu is because they just extended Andrew Thomas. So you know he's going to be the left tackle. I agree that Neal has struggled, but he can also slide inside the guard, and that's where their biggest issues are. So if you draft the Penn State offensive tackle, similar to what Detroit did when they drafted Sewell, they moved him over to the right side. So you have 2 bookend right and left tackles that can grow together and solidify that offensive line. And Evan Neal can slide inside and play guard. That's where one of their biggest weaknesses are on that offensive line. So this would definitely help the New York Giants.
Yeah, and Ryan, in your latest mock, you have 3 offensive tackles going in the top 10. We're going to talk about a pick outside of the top 10 that Ryan has in his latest mock. You have Cincinnati taking UGA tight end Brock Bowers. And Rick, I heard that you love this pairing outside of the top 10 here. Why is that?
Well, I had to go down and really study this over the all morning to find something that I liked out of the top 3 picks of Ryan.
There it is.
Oh, wow, there we go.
I'm sorry, I'm letting it unleash right now. But the one thing I really liked was Brock Bowers, because you see the impact of these rookie tight ends that have come into the league. Laporta in Detroit, even Musgrave and Kraft up in Green Bay. Even when Knox got hurt and what Kincaid did for Buffalo, they can have an immediate impact. And if a guy of this talent, who I think is more talented than any of those guys that got drafted last year, you have Tyler Boyd coming up for a contract, T. Higgins coming up for a contract. Who's going to be the playmaker if they can't sign both of those or at least one of those receivers back? That's Brock Bowers. He's a unique talent. He can make plays in the passing game. He's a gifted athlete after the catch. He's even improved as a run blocker. So for Cincinnati to get a talent like this where they're probably going to pick, I think that's a home run.
Yeah, and the thing to keep in mind, Jacqueline, because Brock Bowers is probably a top 10 pick if you're just evaluating the players, but typically the last 19 years we've had 19 tight ends go in the first round. Only 5 have gone in the top 10, and we've seen the majority of those guys go between pick 19 and afterwards, and I think there's a chance for that reason, because of the position, because of the run on quarterbacks and wide receivers and offensive tackles that we've talked about here. Brock could end up slipping, and look, if we were doing a redraft, Sam Laporta's probably a top 15 pick, but there's a reason he fell into the second round. There's a reason that Dalton Kincaid fell to the bottom of the first round. Brock Bowers could end up being better than both those players, but that would be a home run of a draft pick. So I think there's a chance he gets to the bottom half of the first round. And if he's sitting there and the Bengals are sitting there, it feels like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of time left until the NFL draft, but thinking about a Joe Burrow, Brock Bowers connection potentially is really, really exciting. Ryan Wilson, Rick Spielman breaking down Ryan's latest mock draft. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it. And of course, you can hear the guys on their podcast with the first pick. In the latest episode, they're breaking down the most important games left on the NFL calendar when it comes to draft order. You can download and listen wherever you get your pods or scan that QR code.